I get it. You're experienced at work. You have oodles of qualifications and skills.
I'm looking at how to answer interview behavioral questions even though you're in your 40s. Because
you're midlife and you know that the interview didn't go the way it should be. Looking at Huffcut, Weekly and Jones in the research now. I'm a full-time researcher and best-selling author, and later on I'll give you my summary of my own thoughts. So the study compared two structural interview styles for higher level jobs and interview questions, which ask what a person would do, and behavioral descriptions questions, which ask what a person has actually done in a similar past situation. Across the two examples, behavioral description interviews predicted performance better, while situational interviews were much weaker. Now, the study also found that little overlap between the two formats and noted a link between behaviour description ratings and, believe it or not, extroversion. Now, a second guy called Barclay in the research has an article which supports this from an organisational angle. Within the UK, organisations using behavioural interviews reported better quality information, greater consistency, selection decisions, stronger interviewer skills, and better chances for candidates to explain their abilities through training, practice, time demands, scoring difficulties, and the concerns that remained. Together, both articles point in the same direction, that interviews improve when they have focus on real past behaviour, but both employers and candidates need to have the skill to do the format well. So how can we do it? Firstly, you need to build a bank of real career stories. Not long stories, as in like 3-4 minutes each. You need to keep them succinct. Now that's tough from a story point of view. So firstly, if you can write out, say, 10 past examples involving conflict, pressure, leadership and recovery. These are things that will always and can always be integrated within different answers, specific questions that are in the interviews. So focus on the real incidents, not vague summaries, and try to get to the nitty-gritty. Include what happened, what you did, give the context to it and the outcome. You want to have a positive outcome, you want to show some learning within it, and remember, they're assessing your behaviour. So use a simple answer structure every time you practice. Try to describe the situation briefly so that you put it all into 3 to maybe 7 sentences, and explain your answers clearly, concisely, not what should have happened, but what you did, whether it's good or bad, and go from there. End with the result. Lessons are learned. Why? And why is it okay to say something went wrong? Because you reflected on it. You're going into this new job, you're not going to do it, you're determined in fact that this new job is going to be the way you're going to do it differently. Prepare then for your behavioural questions, because senior roles seem to reward evidence from lived experiences more strongly. By practicing answers, beginning with a time I handled it badly was, or a time I handled it well was. Treat your work history as proof, not that it's just the background detail you're concentrating on. Make sure it's personal to you, and it is personal. So your work really for this interview and these behavioural questions is by delving into your past and trying to have a diary, and you wish you did have a diary now that this interview has come aboard. But you have so much experience that every day has fallen into routine. But there are specific conversations you can have with colleagues to sharpen your skills. It doesn't have to be interview skills that you're using. You can just have a cup of tea, have a coffee, have a beer even, and just converse with them about all the stories they have. And then you take notes on that. And from then, you then sharpen your axe by having these 10 stories. You then need to specify the answers so that you can use these particular stories into 10 different categories of questions. Then, if you find out the generic questions that are being asked in behavioural questions, you can then link these stories to specific types of questions. Strengthen your verbal delivery by speaking in shorter, cleaner, and crisper sentences. Practice aloud, again with a friend or a mentor, and work on your tone, your pace, and always your breathing. Translate your experience into visible leadership. Don't assume that the interviewers will infer leadership from what you're saying. Name the decision. Actually title it like an essay. You have to title it at the top. Here is an example: when I led under pressure, and then give the story. Show how others were affected during it. If you're leading, it's not just about you and your feelings, it's about others under you. It's about the competition. Show from all angles. Now, if you like this video, please like it. And also, if you comment good or bad, I'll get back to you. And we can have a subscription if you subscribe. Therefore, I can produce more like-minded videos. Now, do not hide your setbacks. If you're thinking about all these behavioral questions, we need to prepare one good example at a time, and there can be also bad ones. Look, you're looking for a job and they know that this is not the very, very, very best job in the world. It might be higher management, fantastic, but you wouldn't need a job if you had millions, if you knew it all. So admit your failures. You're learning as you go, even in middle age and beyond. Show accountability instead of defiantly defending exactly what you did and it was the right way and nobody actually did what you should have. Well, you did tell them and they should have done. No, emphasize
honesty, and be aware of all this research to bring you forward into your interview success. Thanks for watching. Please like this video. If you subscribe, comment to say that you have, and we'll look after you.